Before the video even starts, I want to make a disclaimer. This video will of course contain spoilers about the most recent chapter of One Piece, so just in case you've been alerted, enjoy. I also made sure to not include any spoilers in the video thumbnail, unlike some other creators. I hope you appreciate that, okay? Thank you. The chapter is packed with great moments, but we will discuss them in another video. Today, we must talk about one thing and one thing only: the three worlds. I do not pretend to have the only and true correct translation. This is how I read this text, how I decided to interpret them, and therefore how I'm going to share them with you. Let's firstly go through them step by step, using also the suggestive visuals Oda provided to connect a few dots and make our own theories. Before I start, please have respect of me and others in the comments, and you will receive respect back. Chapter 1, The First World. The first correction that has to be made here is that the kanji for world can also be read as period. So probably the three worlds can also be referred as the three periods. I also made sure to include the original text in Japanese of the three worlds, but I will not read it unless it is necessary in some parts. You will only hear me reading the translation and my explanation when necessary. Translation of the first word. Fire was upon the earth, probably meaning that the planet was engulfed in flames, maybe as the result of a war. People gave in to desire, which could also mean appetite or lust. In the West, we will probably use the more generic word for sin. Now omitted is they or people, so it will be read as they came in contact with the forbidden sun. Probably the creation of a weapon similar to nuclear energy in our world, and probably the mother flame in One Piece, or the energy that aliments the mother flame. Now this is where I want to focus for a little bit more. The translation would be the servants or slaves made a wish. And the kanji used for the word servants or slaves is very archaic and unusual. So Oda is probably trying to hint at something. The more common way to say slave in Japanese nowadays would be dore. Instead, an archaic form that was actually used in Japan. So if Oda wanted to use an archaic form, since we're talking about the first word or the first period, would have been seiko, which literally means living mouth. So the fact that he went on and decided to use this form and this specific kanji, which is re-jin, literally the first kanji is re, which is like servant or slave, and then jin, which is just simply people. It is something that is definitely interesting, and Oda might be hinting at something here. This other sentence completes the first one, so it would be read as a whole: the servants made a wish for the sun god to appear. In fact, the verb that is used in Japanese can also mean to embody or to materialize. So the servants made a wish to materialize the sun god, for the sun god to materialize, to suggest that they wished him into existence from sheer imagination. The translation continues and it goes: the earth god raged, probably because of the wish of these people, and it follows: together with the serpent of overpowering flames. The mural gives us a natural representation of the serpent shooting flames from its mouth, together with a dark figure very similar to what we saw from Imu's beast form. I think everyone pointed this out already all around the internet. And they both are breathing fire in opposite direction, like kind of towards each other. And we see the figure that should be representing Imu, so probably the earth god or god of earth, that is kind of enjoying it, almost smiling in an evil way. The translation continues and it will be as follows: they, which is omitted, engulfed the world in death and darkness. This is a pretty straightforward translation. It's not much is up to interpretation, except for the character that I decided to translate as engulfed, because we're talking about abstract things, so darkness and death. But the term itself can also be translated as wrapped, similarly to how a serpent would wrap around its prey to strangle it, to constrain it. And in my opinion, this is suggesting the idea of the creation of the Grand Line. So probably this serpent serpent of overpowering flames, of unstoppable flames, is what has become the red line, or it's probably always been the red line, and the image of the serpent was more of a metaphor. And now the last sentence that is present both at the end of the first word and the second word, and then changes for the third word. And this sentence is where my translation differs the most from the translations you're seeing going around the internet. And mine, I decided to translate it as, and I'll tell you at the end what I mean with it, those people did not show up. Once I finish my translation sentence by sentence and word by word of the 3 words and the 3 periods, we're going to do at the end a full reading as we were reading it on the mural ourselves. So stay tuned for that and keep your focus up, because this shit is about to be fire. Chapter 2, the second world. Let's continue with the translation. The first sentence goes like this: there were signs of life in the nothings. This is again different from translation I've seen around, and the term I decided to translate as signs of life in Japanese is ibuki in the original text, and it is a poetical term and is used to express the concept of vitality itself, so of signs of something new and fresh, like a breath of fresh air, of something new to come and change. The forest god recurred to the usage of demons, and yet again there is a big change from other translations. This suggests to me that the forest god, put in a pinch back to the wall, made a last effort and used its trump card, which are the demons. There's no nuance here. The kanji used is the same kanji for Majin, like in Dragon Ball, like Majin Buu. So Ma, which actually means demon, devil, evil. And in my opinion, this is talking about devil fruits. It could be, the other interpretation could be the giants like Ors, so the demonic giants. It could be them, but I do not see how they would specifically relate to the forest god, while devil fruits possibly being spawned by a specific tree might be totally related to the forest god and would fit better, in my opinion, with this translation. The sun did nothing but expand the embers of war. Again, this is a minor difference from other translations. This sentence, in my opinion, is used as a way to say that the sun, or the sun god, did not show up or help at all. It was just there, powerless. So all he could do, being the sun, motionless and just, well, not really motionless, but just being there and expanding its fire, could only expand the embers of war. Now, the 2 sentences that we will talk about a lot later, once we're done with the full translation. The people of the half moon saw the dream. The people of the moon saw the dream. I read the translations, and usually they say the people of the half moon had a dream or dreamt, while the Japanese is extremely clear. It says they saw the dream as something you do as a first-person experience. So they had a first-hand experience of a dream, both the half-moon people and the moon people. Now it continues and says, people murdered the sun and got closer to God. And my interpretation is this probably talking about the general population of the One Piece world. So not the moon people and not the half-moon people. Those who were left behind their beliefs in the sun, because again, remember, the sun did nothing but expand the embers of war. So they preferred to kill the sun, to murder the sun, and join God and get closer to God for protection, to be saved. And the second world, the second period, terminates with these 2 sentences. The first one being, the sea god went on a rampage. And the last one again, those people did not show up. Chapter 3, the third world. The translation. There was a void in the confusion. This, in my opinion, is hinting to a small opportunity, like a missing detail, like a series of coincidences connecting together, almost like a gap in a wall. The text continues, inconvenient traces of the day of the promise are recollected. In my opinion, this is 100% hinting at the poneglyphs and all the historical poneglyphs specifically being finally collected. The other side hears the voice of the moon. On the other side, on the kanji used, kataware, the term used is specifically used in Japanese to refer to one of a pair, to single out a specific part of a pair. So one of a pair, or the counterpart to the subject being spoken of. So I believe here the other side is the counterpart to the sun god. So the other side hears the voice of the moon. The sun god dances and laughs, leading the world towards its end. Here there's no interpretation needed. The Japanese text is fully clear, and this is obviously something we have known since forever in theories. This is the vision Madame Shirley has of Luffy engulfed in flames, with Fishman Island totally engulfed in flames and destroyed. The sun returns to, and then there's a missing part here in a sense. It's like the sun is returned to something, and in my opinion is to its place, because if you remember, the sun was killed by the people in the second world. So probably the sun returns at the center, like people start believing in the sun again, is how I would read the sentence. A new morning comes. Those guys, without a doubt, have showed up. And with this, we have the whole translation done step by step. Now, for this part of the video, I will be a bit more imprecise. So there's captions and subtitles at the bottom to help you out to follow what I'm about to say, because I'm looking at the mural. So I'm a bit of live recording in a sense, because I want to comment with you guys as I read my translation of the first word, what I see on the mural in picture, and I'll try to be as fast as possible to not waste anyone's time. So let's read real quick the first word without my appendixes, without my specification. So it would be like this. Fire was upon the earth. People gave in to desire. People came in contact with the forbidden sun. The servants made a wish for the sun god to appear. The earth god raged. Together with the serpent of overpowering flames, engulfed the world in death and darkness. Those people did not show up. So what is this first word saying to us? So, in my opinion, it's pretty simple. Fire was upon the earth. In my opinion, the planet was not in good condition. War was waging, as we see also from the picture. We had modern cities, so the ancient kingdom, and specifically, I believe this is the Wano Kuni underwater, like the country of Wano underwater, so basically Japan. And we see exactly 19 people, bringing something like energy, probably someone was hinting at hope and dreams, but I think the thing that said the forbidden sun, so a sort of power bringing it upwards, and as you see, it's going upwards and upwards and upwards to what seems to be the mother flame in the sky. And then the serpent and the earth god, which I believe is supposed to be the earth god, although it has wings in a sense, are spewing their fire and taking control of the world. And we see specifically the 9 people bringing that sort of forbidden sun are all walking to upwards what looks like a huge elephant with a ship inside of it, which I believe to be the Noah ship. In fact, it's also suggested by, we have a couple of horses, a couple of sheep, it seems to be, and a couple of people, sort of, hinting at the fact that that's the Noah ark. And in my opinion, this is also the sin of Zunisha, the betrayal of Zunisha. Zunisha helped Imu, the original king, to ascend and become the earth god back then, with the votes, let's say, of the 19 kings and kingdoms who pledged allegiance to Imu, except for, of course, the Nefertari family, which might be, in my opinion, the little angel we see inside Zunisha, because she basically probably dies, and so is turned into an angel. So this is how I would read the mural. And then, of course, there's Eneru ship shooting lightnings at the ground, just, so Oda would have nothing missing from this. So yeah, absolutely incredible. The servants made a wish. I think what it means is the people who served themselves to Imu, once they realized what they were getting themselves into, they made a wish, like with the remaining power they had, with the forbidden sun, which in my opinion, I know it sounds crazy, but I think that is the fucking One Piece. Like, we are reading what the One Piece is. It's not the Mother Flame, mind you. It's like a sort of source of energy. Probably might be crazy. They created the sun god, probably the first devil fruit. And that enraged the earth god, Emu, what had just become the earth god. So, like, you know, a human being that became the king of earth, then the emperor of earth, and then with nobody to contrast you, you become the earth god. And instead of becoming something beautiful that dances and is joyful, he's this freaking foul beast, almost unrecognizable from a human, that spits fire from its mouth and has this evilish smile on its face. But what happened is, this is 900 years ago when Joy Boy was born too, mind you. The last sentence is, those people did not show up. I'm gonna tell you this just right at the very end of the third word. Please stay tuned. Now let's read the second word without my appendixes, and then we look at the mural together. So the second word states like this: there were signs of life in the nothingness. The forest god recurred to the usage of demons. The sun did nothing but expand the embers of war. The people of the half moon saw the dream. The people of the moon saw the dream. People murdered the sun and got closer to God. The sea god went on a rampage. Those people did not show up. So the second word is extremely interesting because, in my opinion, this is depicting exactly the period of the Void Century. And we have two specific people that we know about the Void Century. The first one is Joy Boy, who was born exactly at the beginning of the Void Century, so 900 years ago. And the second one is Toki, the wife of Odin, who was born, in fact, 830 years ago, and at the age of 26, so at the very end of the Void Century, 804 years ago, she time traveled to the future looking for Joy Boy. So meaning, of course, her Joy Boy, the Joy Boy that preceded her, had already passed away and could not fulfill the myth that Saul is talking to us about. And by the way, look at the symbol on the book Saul has, and now look at the symbol of the Kozuki family and the little sun in it, and you will have no doubt that we are on the right path. Now, from what we read of the second word, the first sentence, in my opinion, is referring to the fact that people had not lost hope. Although the planet was engulfed in flames and there was relative emptiness on the planet, there were still signs of life. Even in other translation, they say breath, as you might know in Japanese culture, but even in a lot of ancient cultures around Europe, the breath was considered sort of as part of the soul, part of your true self. So, you know, a strong symbol of life, because as you die, the first thing you would do would be stop breathing, right? So, and what did the god of the forest god, which I believe was one of the ancient trees like Eve and Adam, or just simply probably an Adam tree that through the, let's say, radiation or just the incredible potent energy of the forbidden sun, has absorbed this energy and was able to produce the demons, which are devil fruits. And why I say this might be very apparent, because as the little page, this is the second word, says this, then it tells us that both the people of the moon and the people of the half moon saw the dream. What is this dream that they saw? Because the other translations say they dreamed, but instead, from what I translated, it's very apparent that in Japanese, what it's trying to tell us is that they had a sort of first-hand experience of the dream. It literally says Yume, and if you guys know, I think this refers to even what Luffy says, you know, when he says, it's all at the end of my dream, like the real dream of Luffy, not, you know, becoming king of the pirates. So like they actually saw Luffy's dream, in my opinion, which would be super beautiful. And so they started believing. So like this is when hope is born again. And probably they saw it either through Joy Boy, so it probably could mean like there could be multiple interpretations. So probably either Joy Boy actually got the fruit, became himself Nika, but again, it was not able to defeat Emu at his time because of certain events, because of certain specific things. But the people of the moon and the people of the half moon, and I'm gonna tell you something extra about these people. Just grab your chair, grab your popcorn, and don't actually chew them right now because you're gonna spit them out. So the people of the moon, the Crescent Moon, I think are what would have been Toki's clan. I forgot her last name. It's actually different. So Amatsuki. Okay, Amatsuki Toki. So the people of the moon, which were basically the people of Japan, Wano, ancient Wano. And since they saw the dream, what did they do? Because what's going to happen at the end of the second word? The sea god rampages, becomes enraged. So what would he do? He would flood the earth to turn off the fire that is engulfing it, right? And we know from Vegapunk that the water levels did rise from a ton in the past, and we know there is a sunken Wano under the current Wano, a sunken Japan, because we know there's Mount Fuji there. So what am I connecting it to? So the people of the moon, the people of Japan, saw the dream. They saw the future. So they saw the positive things, but they also saw that their place was basically sunken. It was underwater. So what would they do? They built a wall that was specifically as high as it needed to be for a country to be built during the era we are living right now in One Piece. And who are the other people who saw the dream? The Half Moon people. And you're gonna tell me, who in the fuck are the Half Moon people? Well, the kanji used to say Half Moon people can also, like that same term, half moon, which is Hangitsu. Han is half or middle, and Getsu is another way to read, like the onyomi reading of the kanji for moon, which is Tsuki. It can also, bear with me, it can also be translated as semicircle. Do you know what letter of the alphabet is a semicircle? Yeah, the D. The Half Moon people that it's talking about in here are, in my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt, the D clan. And I think two paths happen here. The Moon people, the Japanese people, and also how Sengoku was like, have you ever asked yourself why the people in Wano are so fucking strong? What's going on in there? What's so weird in there? And the Half Moon people, the people of the D, the people that will flip the word upside down. I think they took two different choices. The Moon people decided to isolate. So a very Japanese decision, right? So like Oda wants to portray probably the isolation of Japan. So they built a wall as high as the sky, basically, to prepare for the flood, which is also a smart choice, honestly. No judgment from me. And then the Half Moon people, the other people, and the D clan, and probably what we lost, decided to instead spread around the world and help the ones who needed it. So they all went different ways in different parts of the globe, and that's why we encounter people with the most different last names, and then always a D in their name, which was just kept there and nobody even ever questions, like, hey, what the fuck does this even mean? So in my opinion, the second word, which is the Void Sentry, that's where the D clan has basically separated and hid themselves, and also swore themselves to become God's natural enemy. Because remember what happens in the second word: humanity kills the sun and go closer to God. Then why in the fuck the D clan is called God's natural enemy? You remember the words of Law from Dressrosa? Because here what happened is the common people, the people who kill the sun, are either people who basically, it's either metaphorical, so they just gave away their rights, their beliefs, they would not believe in the sun anymore, the sun that would save them, and went with, would be basically the Marines, because we know that at the end of the Void Century, the whole Marines and world government was fully established, was in full force, and basically the status quo of One Piece was born. So it's either referring to that, and the god Sea becomes enraged because the sun is killed And I'm just thinking that could just hint at the death of Joy Boy. So the sun is killed, and the sea god, so probably Poseidon, Shirashi at the time, the Poseidon at the time, becomes enraged and flooded the planet. It could be, and so the sea level were rising. So yeah, here still, it's still up to interpretation. I want to know what you guys think too. But now let's move on the third word, because the last sentence here again is those guys did not show up. And I think at this point you understood what I mean and why my translation of this sentence, at the very least from this video, I hope I helped the community with translating what the text truly means with this last sentence. And now I'll read to you the last translation of the third word, and then we check the mural together for one last time. There was a void in the confusion. Inconvenient traces of the day of the promise are recollected. The other side hears the voice of the moon. The sun god dances and laughs, leading the world towards its end. The sun returns to its place. A new morning comes. Those guys, without a doubt, did show up. So, literal chills as I'm reading this. So there was a void in the confusion. So the word now, after 800 years, we are in the present era, and the mural, of course, could not be as more clear than it is. Sorry, after 30 minutes, my brain is fried, and I will go step by step and tell you who I believe is being represented. So give me a second also for that. But let's read the sentences first and what they mean. So there was a void in the confusion. I saw and read this as sort of, there was a chance, like the little break in the wall, like the little opening in the wall from where Wapol saw. It's like not a literal definition, is to say, hey, there was a gap in power. It could also mean there was an empty chair at the top, the chair that is in Mary Joyce. So probably Luffy, it's hinting at the fact that the Sun God Nika is going to bring that down. But again, I want to read it as, there is a void, there's a little gap in this whole confusion that the hero is going to exploit, being the missing part. And then it continues with the inconvenient traces of the day of the promise are recollected. Here I saw other translations had a lot of problems getting this correct, but I just did my research. Probably I will put all the images possible on the screen to show you how the kanji are translated and why I translated it this way. And I believe this is definitely hinting at the poneglyphs. And then it says, of course, the sun god dances and laughs and guides the word to its end, brings end to the word. We have known this since forever. I also think this is referenced in the beautiful Kaido, the song from One Piece Film Z, from Aokiji. Like the sea already knows how the word will end. Absolutely amazing. And also to Binks Sake, it's like if you can stay strong a little longer, you will see the new morning, the new dawn. And again, the sun god will bring a new dawn. And the fact that it says the sun will be put in its place, will return to its place. A lot of people are saying, that the Imu at the end of the mural has the sun in its end, and that should be the Mother Flame. I believe Mother Flame is the sort of moon, or probably that's the moon that we see in the first word, and I was confusing that. But it could even be that the sun that we're seeing is actually the One Piece, because the sun, as you remember, the sun was killed in the second word. So they will defeat Imu and put the sun back to its place, realizing the dream. So like with the sun in its place, a proper word can be achieved with infinite energy shared to all people. That doesn't have to be given, like the forbidden sun does not have to be given to Imu and make him the god of earth. I think this is how it will connect. Like remember, this has to be a shonen story and has to stay simple. And then the last sentence finally, those guys certainly, like without a doubt, did show up. They actually appeared, they showed up, meaning that in the first word and in the second word, the sun god did not show up because he didn't have his allies around him. He could not win without his allies, like again Binks no Sake says. Instead, at the very end, they showed up. In fact, like the sentence is super clear to me, so I don't know why others have translated it that way. But again, remember, it's not like paid translation, it's other fans that are making giving giving us something for free and helping us enjoy this together. So I believe that is hinting at the Straw Hats showing up and all the allies. So now let's go through the mural for the last thing and check out, like especially in the third world, what we are seeing and what is being hinted at. So let's start with the enemy side first, because it's of course very simple and also shows you how alone the enemy. So I think of course the shadowy figure is Emu, and the sun is holding might be Mother Flame. As you can see with the left, I think the left arm is holding the sun and the right hand is kind of like throwing those little, like 3 little orbs, which look the exact same as the little orbs in the first world that were being given to Emu from the 19 kings, probably as like, little pieces of the Forbidden Sun that also arrive, to around what would be the moon. I would say that's the moon only because of the little circles, but I was convinced that the thing we see in the sky up there is the Mother Flame, and those little orbs are going upwards, probably with the help of the Eneru ship, powered by electricity. That's how that ship was used originally to create the Mother Flame, and then Emu with that became basically God. But anyways, and then there's a little ship on to the side of Emu, and people are like, oh, there's 5 people. There's actually 6 people on it, and in my opinion, those are not the Gorosei, but are the 5 elders. But those are just probably the Marines. Like, that's the only thing that is at the side of Emu, because they have to obey Emu. Those are the Marines, like probably the admirals and this type of people. Instead, let's look at the more interesting side, which is the hero side. So starting from the very top, there's a figure which is clearly a Lunarian, almost like super close to Emu's hand, with beautiful wings and also the little flame on top of the head. And people were hinting at King. I think just representing a generic Lunarian, because nobody would know it would be King specifically. And in my opinion, that is actually one of the seraphims, and the little sort of dress that it has on made me think automatically, like right away, of S Snake. I don't know why. I think that's gonna be the one that actually ends up becoming an ally to the Sun God, or probably it's just a placeholder, and every seraphim will join them, plus other Lunarians if there's any around the globe. But then there's a Laboon with 2 people on top, and we know there's Crocus, and who else? Probably the man with a burned scar on his face. We could see. Then this is a unique figure, because some people are saying this is Nekomamushi, Cat Viper, in probably the Sulong form, and it could be it's just there to represent a Sulong creature. Also because it has Sulong creatures, Sulong Bison, and it also has a sword in hand, so it's pretty clear. Then there is Emeth, the giant robot. It's pretty clear. Then there is in the middle, of course, Luffy with the shield, which I believe might be the Straw Hat. Because then at the very back there's Loki behind him, and then at the very back there's this ship, which at first confused me. I was like, oh, this ship has on the flag, I want to say, has the same symbol of Luffy. Who could they be? And then of course I was like, that's of course the Thousand Sunny. We literally have a ship with the sun as its symbol. So yeah, of course it's not going to be the Jolly Roger of the Straw Hats, but again, like, it couldn't be more clearer. And then if you see, this ship has a sort of like 2 other ships behind it to, in my opinion, show that it's like multiple there's gonna be multiple ships that are sailing under this flag. And I believe that's hinting at the I was saying the Parallels fleet, I'm so dumb, the Straw Hat fleet. So yeah, I believe that's the Straw Hats at the very front with the fleet at the back. Right below them must be the samurai from Wano. That's probably the simplest one. Then right in front of Loki, there's a little Tontata. Then there is Shirahoshi. Then there's probably what could be Inuarashi, or just again someone to represent the Bison, the Minks, basically. Then there is another giant, so again it could be Harudin. This could also be a symbol, like someone someone to signify the Straw Hat Fleet. And then there's 4 ships at the bottom, and stay with me. Oh, there's also, sorry, below the below Shirahoshi ship, the Siren, there is also a huge fish, probably the Sea Kings that are gonna follow Shirahoshi. And then there's 4 ships, and bear with me, I want to tell you like what they could be. So the one at the very bottom that is darker in color, like almost fully black, because I think it means that is like wet wood. If you see, they sort of like kind of have like tails, the 2 people on board, and I think it's like the male Tritons, I think they're called. So basically these are Fishman Island inhabitants. Then at the right of this black ship, there's a ship with 2 flags and a single guy leading it. And I do not know why, but something makes me feel like this is supposed to be Marco. And the 2 ships, the 2 flags, the 2 sails, are supposed to be Whitebeard and Ace pushing him to join Luffy. I have this vision. I don't know if you guys agree with it. Then one right at the front with a sort of loner who looks like he is sitting and holding probably like it should be, yeah, a sword that's a bit longer on his right shoulder. I kind of see Law into it, like Trafalgar Law into that drawing. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but that's what I like to see there. And the one behind him with a sort of circle going around him, I think that is Kid with something magnetically attached and orbiting around him for some reason. But yeah, those are all the allies I think I saw into this. And ultimately, I think this is the end, and it better be, because we hit the 42 minutes mark. So again, if I could at least entertain you until here, consider subscribing. This is a completely new channel I opened up to talk about topics such as this. So I will continue to discuss One Piece and also other manga and anime in the future. So I would really be happy if you subscribed or left a like and check my other videos on my other channel. So yeah, what do you think? I can't wait for the next chapter and to talk about some more One Piece in the future with you guys. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and see you soon. Bye bye.